We're on a mission from God.
Good afternoon. I'm Elaine Hall-Corbin, your host, and welcome to Artists of Color. Today we're going to have a great show because there's a lot that goes on, and today we're going to be talking about a program called Roxbury Action Program, who's been around for over 45 years. And we're going to be talking to them about an upcoming event that they've had for a number of years, but now they're bringing it back again, called Roxbury Founders Day. So with me today, my guest is Marjorie Hicks from Roxbury Action Program, Melissa Mills from a program called Revive, and DuBois Marshall from Children's Services of Roxbury. Thank you all for being with me today. I'm glad you're here. We got a lot to talk about. So thank you for being with me today.
Of course.
I think I want to start with Margie.
All righty.
Margie and I have been friends for a very long time. So I've kind of worked with her on a number of events, but I want her to begin with talking about Roxbury Action Program. How did Roxbury Action Program originally begin?
Well, it really began in, I'll say 67, and it was incorporated in 68 on Blue Hill Avenue. It came out of the American Friends Service Committee. And what they were seeing was how the gentrification of the South End was moving to Highland Park. That was the next area, the Highland Park section of Roxbury. And that was the next area that was going to end up moving all the old people who'd been there for years out, people who would not be able to afford to live there. And one of the things that RAP really thought about seriously was ownership, home ownership. So they decided to move into Highland Park. And they got three buildings were given to them.
Oh.
A couple of people, Chuck Turner being one of them, owned 3 buildings that they gave to Roxbury Action Program to help them start.
Okay.
And at that time, RAP worked as a co-op. So all the tenants would have to get together, and at that time you had to get together.
Yeah, you sure did.
You had to get together to meet and also to go to rehab any vacant apartments.
Oh, so the tenants did that?
The tenants did it. Yeah, they had me spackling the walls and all kind of holes in the walls and sanding and whatnot. And that was how, before they got any funding.
Oh, they had to do that first?
They did it first because RAP started out with no government funding at all. It was actually the first CDC in the city.
Oh, wow.
And
Now, see,
all
I've
the
never
other
knew that.
housing and CDCs that are out here, maybe even doing more, started because of RAP. They wouldn't be here if it wasn't for RAP.
Oh my goodness.
So it's been around since 68. And they started with those 3 buildings, then got a development called, what they call RAP 1. That was 33 units. And then they got another one, was RAP 2. They weren't too creative with the names.
Yes, RAP 1,
And that
RAP
one
2.
had 55 units. And then there was 705 that had 26. And then they had other scattered units around too.
Now, all of those units, are they still, you said RAP started as a co-op? Are all those units part of the co-op?
No, once they got government funding and Section 8 housing,
Okay.
the co-op part stopped. And they tried later on to do limited equity co-ops, but mass housing was not cooperative. So it never really happened.
Oh.
So it remained Section 8 housing, no ownership was allowed.
But when it started, it was ownership, right?
No,
The
when it
it
started,
wasn't?
RAP owned it, but they helped anybody who wanted to buy a house. I was one of them, actually.
Oh.
I bought my house not just because of RAP, because my parents and grandparents were homeowners, but I bought
Right.
my house because of my relationship with RAP.
Right, okay.
And happened to be in somewhere one night.
Yeah, you.
Never mind. And the director, George Morrison, said to me, "Do you have a lawyer?" And I said, "No, I'm just buying the house." He said, "Well, you better get a lawyer." So he really helped, and then
So they helped at
So
that.
they helped a lot of people get housing or to get repairs done that they couldn't afford to before, to get Section 8 tenants, leased housing. They did all that along with their own housing.
Housing. Oh my goodness. Wow. See, I've been around rap a long time, but there's little pieces that you told me that I really didn't know.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I want to come up to date. I want to talk about the programs RAP has done. Let's talk about some of the community programs that RAP has brought to
How
the
long
community.
do you have?
Oh, we have time. Let's go. Let's go.
Well, they started out with the housing, of course, and they figured that the people in the housing needed services. So they had a baseball team.
There you go.
They did gardening. The garden is still there. They had
Yeah.
a seniors program called Senior Advocates, where the seniors would go to 10 people every month, make sure they knew everything that was going on in the community, whatever services were available to them. They also had, not really a food co-op, but they got food for them every month.
Okay.
And they also had after-school program, a youth program, Rent-A-Kid way back when.
That was funny. When I first heard that from you, and I was helping, and I saw that, and I said, Rent-A-Kid? Rent-A-Kid!
Yes, anybody could rent a young person through the agency. Let's say you had some painting you needed done, some gardening, whatever. You'd call Rent-A-Kid.
Oh, okay.
And they would send one day, and you paid a very minimal price, and
Okay.
the subsidy paid, or the agency paid the rest.
The rest.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Okay. What are some of the cultural programs RAP's done?
Well, there was Garvey Day, because Marcus Garvey was one of the people that they really emulated.
He did?
Yes. So there was Garvey Day in August, used to be in Elliott Square. And they also did Roxbury Day, Phyllis Wheatley Poetry Festival,
Yes.
the Harlem Book Fair, Roxbury. was
Yes,
through
which
rap.
we're going back to.
Goodness, let me think. What else? I know they've even had horseback riding in Elliott Square. Had someone come and bring roller skates, and the kids were skating all over the place, and they were free.
Nice.
Drumming in the park. And did I mention Roxbury Day?
No, but you
Oh,
did
okay, and Roxbury
and
Day.
Roxbury Day, which is where we are right now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Roxbury Day. We've got Roxbury Day coming up. When is that?
It's Saturday, September 21st. And
Okay.
it's going to be at the new Dillaway Thomas House at
Yeah.
Roxbury Heritage State Park, but we'll be using part of the building too,
Okay.
as well as outside.
What will that entail? What's Roxbury Day going to be?
Well, Roxbury Day really is to show what's in Roxbury that's good. You know, to showcase that. That was why we have someone from Roxbury Children's Service.
Right.
I think I got it backwards. It's Children's Service of Roxbury. And then Melissa, who's doing a historical tour program. We will have artists, dances, music, vendors,
Okay.
Roxbury history quiz.
Oh, we're going to do the quiz again.
Yes, we're going to have the quiz to really pinpoint what's going on in Roxbury. Because one of the things that gets lost is what's good about Roxbury.
Yes,
And
that's very true.
what comes to mind is also one of the things we did, which was the history of the highway.
Yes.
And if you think about all the public transportation in the country,
It
the
all-
reason that it was improved or some places got it at all is because of what Roxbury
she
did.
Yep.
And if that wouldn't even happen, you know, if it hadn't
That's-
been for them.
See.
In their fight against the highway.
Highway, ooh.
And when they did that, they got Ed Brooks to then open up the federal money for the rest of the country.
Okay.
So that all came out of Roxbury's actions.
Roxbury's done a lot. Roxbury Action
Yeah, it
Program
has.
has really done a lot. You know what I wanted to ask, and I'm not going to spread this out too long, is we talk about Roxbury Action Program, and we talk about Roxbury. And I don't think I've ever asked you this question before, but how far up does Roxbury Action Program go? The reason I'm saying that, and maybe I'm saying it wrong, is what I'm trying to. Roxbury Action Program focuses on the John Elliott Square of Roxbury, but Roxbury is more than just.
Right. It depends on the program.
Okay.
Roxbury Action Program focused on Highland Park, as they called it, the donut hole.
Oh, I
Because what
never
other
heard that.
services for Roxbury there were. never included that area.
Oh,
it was always left
I
out.
didn't realize
So that was one of the reasons why that was chosen.
Okay,
But
now
like one
I
of the
understand.
programs we're talking about doing, it has expanded to now Greater Roxbury, according to REP, is Roxbury,
According to REP.
Mattapan, Jamaica Plain, and Dorchester.
Really?
Yeah, but those particular services for a program that's coming up soon, which I can't tell you more about.
All right, I don't want to hear about that. We'll talk about that one later.
Okay.
Well, I invited you on, which I love doing, and you brought a couple of people with you. One of them, well, both of them, well, one of them is a Roxbury resident, the Greater Highland Park Roxbury resident, who's also has a program called Revive, which is cultural, creating cultural tourism through the artist's perspective.
Yes.
Explain that.
Okay. Well,
Oh, and by the way, everyone, this is Melissa Mills.
Hello. Actually, it's a workshop that's going to be held at the Dillaway Thomas House on Roxbury Day. So the workshop was entitled "Revived: The Historical Tours of Roxbury Through the Artist Perspective,"
Yes.
and the idea being that, in which I think Marjorie hinted to, there are a lot of sort of hidden jewels within Roxbury, even in terms of information, and historical tours do give you some of that. You always learn a little bit more, and I thought about some of the art within Roxbury, some of the sculptures, like just thinking about the sculpture of Phyllis Wheatley, and how can we sort of bring to life their stories. And when I think about Roxbury and just in general, it being a thoroughfare,
Yes.
at its founding,
Right.
people, they walked those streets, they went
They
through
do.
those areas. So how can we bring a historical tour that includes Roxbury as the centerpiece? Like, this is the centerpiece in terms of location, and then bring the stories of the people that would have gone through this area and what they have to tell. So it stretches out when you think about the people in particular whose stories we'll be telling, and I'm hoping to get a discussion and get artists, of different mediums that can play a role in bringing sort of this type of tour to life. And so that's what the workshop is about, and I'm happy to.
What made you decide to want to put together a program like that?
Well, I was just speaking to DuBois here, and about my very first job was historical tours of Boston, but it was a women's tour. So we only told women's stories, and it was I was in high school. It was like a summer job, and I think that sort of, when it comes to community service and things going on in the community, I mean, I've been part of different aspects of, whether it's poetry or the Phyllis Wheatley, those types of things. So again, the storytelling aspect has always been something that has been of interest to me. And then I put on an event a couple of years back that was a beauty, health, and wellness event. And it involved, again, like just pulling together different layers of that specific community and how can we come together and showcase some of the different things. So this tour, again, is about pulling different aspects of the artistic community to bring together a tour that just has a slightly different lens than maybe you would see on some other tours.
Now, we're talking about food from the artist's perspective. You mentioned hoping to get artists involved in that. Are you interested in getting artists that are artists from the community, or just artists in general?
Well, I mean, this could be a call to action if there are any. I have spoken to a few artists that have been doing work in this realm, whether it's like in education, community education, or historical education, and whether it's, again, fashion design, that are interested in how can I be a part of this type of tour, because I want it to obviously have like that performance piece of bringing some of the dress, historical period dress,
Okay.
but then perhaps putting a modern spin on it, you know, as the fashion designer. So how can we sort of mix these different aspects or different elements into creating a really like modern tour that again will highlight some of the hidden history of Roxbury, and then you know, I just think that the Dillaway Thomas House and Roxbury Heritage State Park is just a great starting point for that type of education. So it's a good opportunity, and so any artist that would be interested is welcome.
Okay. Very good. I like that. It's very cultural, you know, and culture is part of what Roxbury's about, and I like to see that. So what I'd like to do is go from the cultural aspect and the artistic aspect to children, community services. So DuBois, you are part of Roxbury Children's Services of Roxbury.
There it is.
I would like to get a little bit of information. I've seen, they've been in different places. They used to be right there on Washington Street, where the police department is. They were there for a little while, and then they moved up to Dudley about a few years ago, as a matter of fact. And what is Children's Services of Roxbury, first of all?
Sure. So Children's Service of Roxbury is a community service agency. And basically, have you heard of CBHI, or Child Behavioral Health Initiative?
No.
Well, basically, there was a case called Rosie D. versus Romney. So we sued Governor Romney when he was governor of the state and won. Rosie D. was a young woman who could not get enough services to stay in the home. All her services, she had a mental health diagnosis and she had a developmental diagnosis. And she was 20 miles outside, 20 to 30 miles away from her home. Very hard to parent that way.
You're not kidding.
Through the court case, when won, the judge said that this is woefully egregious. So that can no longer happen. If someone needs services in order to keep the child in the home and in the community, more importantly, there must be services that are made readily available to them. So Children's Services of Roxbury, it's a long story, but Children's Services of Roxbury in '72 was United Homes for Children. Reverend Richard Richardson and his wife started the organization then and fostered like over 30 children. And so they entered through the foster care system, but then over the years things grew. And we have the CSA, we have Behavioral Health Department, and so through that court case now empowers us to go into people's homes and teach families how to build sustainable models.
We are going to stop right there.
Okay.
No, because we're going to hold that thought, because we're going to take a break and we're going to come right back, because I want my audience to know more about that. I want to know more about that. So I'm Elaine Hall-Corbin, your host, and we are going to take a break, but we will be back and continue this really important discussion, because it's something I never heard of. Shh. Good afternoon. This is Elaine Hall-Corbin, your host, and welcome to Artists of Color. We're back again. And when we took our break, we were talking, I should say, DuBois was talking about the Children's Services of Roxbury and about the court case and about a mother and her children and getting services. Let's talk about that. Let's continue that conversation.
Okay. Well, that was Rosie D. versus Romney. And basically it was a young lady who could not get enough resources that she could be taken care of properly in the home.
Okay.
She wasn't able to stay into her community and be able to just reach out and touch whatever resources may be needed, be it clinical, to anything from food, whatever that is, medication, doctor's visits, it wasn't available. And unfortunately at that time, what would happen is people with letters behind their name would meet in a room and come out and tell you what to do with your child.
True.
So you had no real choice at that time to a certain degree. And there were many cases as you went against their decision, you were going to get fouled on. The judge said no more. There weren't proper assessments. Again, people making decisions for you about your family. Now, winning that case empowered Children's Service of Roxbury and many other organizations or community service agencies to do what's called wraparound. So now what we do is when we come into a person's home, we help them build a sustainable model, something that they create by surrounding the family with the resources that they need, that they can manage. Insurance companies allow us to come in for 3 months. So I'm not going to be, as much as I may love this child, I'm not walking her down the aisle. So when I come in, I
hear
have to
you.
start with the family understanding that when I leave, you need to have the skills, have the contact information, know where to go, understand the process and the system. That's just one of the things that Children's Services of Roxbury does. We do foster care, we do a visitation program where custodial and non-custodial parents can meet children. We have scattered sites, homeless shelters. We also have a behavioral health department that has intensive care coordinators, family partners. These are all teams of clinicians that would come into the home and help support families get resources. We also have early education and childhood intervention, among the many things that we do. So it's like a one-stop shop.
You are not kidding, because all the stuff all the services that you just mentioned, I never knew that. I mean, I knew of services like that, but it's the fact that all those services are under one roof for one community.
Right.
And I'm wondering how many families that are probably in need of that know about that service, know about, the program itself.
Yeah.
How do you get that? Who do you work with in order to get that information out there?
A lot of it's word of mouth. Unfortunately, the need is very, very great. We
Yes.
are in about 12 Boston public schools, and that is the breeding ground to watch. It's because we do a lot of also education advocacy. So we are partners with the BPS in that regard. We have clinicians on the site. We also have, like I said, clinicians in-house, outpatient clinicians, in-home therapists. All that can be accessed. And so basically what it is if you have mass health, this qualifies you to have a team that will come in. And we should ask more questions than be selling answers. What does the family need? How do they see themselves being able to sustain their life and have control of their own clinical life? This is their child, something they love more than anything on the planet.
Thank you.
And they don't know what's going on. I know up until 7th grade, this was a nice kid. Now, things are changing, right? So what does that mean? What does it look like? And we get to educate them. In a lot of ways, we are educators, and we do train-the-trainer models. Because when we leave, that parent, that family, has to sustain that model that's created. And
Now,
that's really what CSR is about, that they are creating this model that they can continue on.
Continue. Now, the clinicians, those that come into the homes, do those clinicians and those therapists look like you and me?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
That was very important.
Okay,
That was
let
a
me-
question
let
I
me say
wanted to
this.
know.
Out of that court case came 3 specialty CSAs, of which we are one. There's Walden for the deaf, Gandara for the Spanish community, and us for the black community. So what you will see, what that means is we are supposed to be as culturally competent within the community in which we serve. And so you will see a majority of, yes, black clinicians. Now, there's clinicians of every color, shape, and size.
I hear
But
you.
you will see a majority of folks who look like us, who serve our community.
Okay. Now, what specifically are you going to be doing on Roxbury Day?
Well, my title is
Go ahead. Yeah, I need to know. I'm waiting for your title. I've been wanting this title for a long time. What is your title?
I am the Staff Development Specialist for Children's Services of Roxbury. Now, what that entails is I make sure that we stay in compliance. All the clinicians that come to your home, I train them before they go out. Now, in addition to that, I'm also in charge of outreach. Thus, Roxbury Day.
Yes, there you go. I knew
That's
Roxbury
Roxbury
was
Day.
coming.
So that's another hat that I wear where I go into the community, I do job fairs and all of those kinds of things, yes.
Okay.
So I'll have a table and be able
So
to talk to
now I
folks.
know, well, see, now I have a formal title to you. No, I know. We're going to go back to we're going to go back to Margie. Because Margie, we're going to talk more about Roxbury Action Program.
Well, we can, but could I just say one thing to come off of what he said?
Yes,
Because if you know, my oldest son is special needs.
right.
And when I listen to this, I think of all the services we could have used when all there was at that
that
time
time.
was take him and put him in a special home care.
Exactly.
Put him in this, like, the state schools,
Yes.
which I fought
For
for,
a long,
well, at least 21 years.
like I said, a long time.
That, people just didn't have anything. Talk about wraparound services or the parent, teaching the parent
How
to take care of their child the way they want to do it with help.
yes.
That meant DSS, but whatever it was at the time, takes your child. you don't want to do what we say,
We'll say.
no, you gotta go.
Yeah.
See.
So I had to stay out of those clutches and still try to get whatever help I could. So it's really, I mean, it's gratifying to know that this is here and it's also culturally competent.
And that's what I like.
I mean, you
more
need
than
both.
anything.
Yeah.
Well, you need both.
Yeah, you do.
need
Both. Yeah.
But you know, the culture is important. Like you said,
Oh,
you
it's
need,
important,
you need
yes.
you need both.
Yeah.
But you know, when we think about communities of color, which I do a lot, I think about them. The culture is so important because you can go in and say anything to a parent of color, but if you don't know anything about the background of that culture, you're probably going to do it all wrong.
We have to
You know,
redefine what culture
But you have to be part of that community. And see, because you are part of that community, you are in that community, your program, the services, the center is in that community, they have a history of knowing what the different cultures are, you know.
Can I add just real quickly? The
Yes.
thing is, though, also we have to redefine what culture is. Unfortunately, culture gets in a box of just what race or where did your country of origin.
But
when we're dealing with our community, we have to suspend whatever our belief and what we think culture is when we
Culture-
step across that threshold.
That's true.
Culture just means a way of
A way
life
of
that
life.
a person lives. If I have a person and grew up in the same village, next door to each other, they both have a child with the same diagnosis, but this mother has 3 jobs, this one stays at home. That's a
That's a
different
totally
culture,
different-
different
Yes, it
way of
is.
life. So in addition to the place of origin and being sensitive to that, we also have to be very aware of how they live their lives.
Yeah. Talking about culture, you know, and like you said, you've got this family over here, somebody works 3 jobs, you got this one over here, works 1 job. And I learned, I'm a graduate of Springfield College School of Human Services. So part of what I learned was culturism, different cultures, and how to go in and work with different cultures. Like you said, culture is not in a box. So I understand that part. And, you know, that's something I'd like us to have you and I to have a longer conversation about.
Okay.
You know, I really would.
Okay.
But we're going to go back to
Another day.
Marjorie and Roxbury Action Program.
Alrighty.
Come on, there are more things that we need to talk about when it comes to Roxbury Action Program.
Okay.
They're moving, what they've gotten to this point, what they've gone to this point, what happened, the cultural aspect, I'm confused. You and I were having this long conversation. I'm not gonna lie. You and I were having this conversation before we went on break. And we were talking about the history.
Okay.
So let's talk about more of the history, because there were pieces.
Well, there's a development that I left out, which is
That's
Marcus
what it
Garvey
was.
Gardens, which was a senior, still is a senior citizens building. But it came about by seniors in Highland Park meeting. They were trying to do assisted living.
Oh.
And also, they worked on that building. And so some of the things that are in there are because of what the seniors thought. Because they all said, we're going to be in there. We're going to be the first ones in there. And so
They
they
weren't
thought
kidding
about,
either.
it wasn't something just thought about, okay, this is a box, and this is where we're going to put them. You know, what do they need? You know.
Okay.
So they worked on that, and so it came to be.
The Marcus Garvey.
Martha.
Why, and this is probably going to be a very strange question to ask, why was it called Marcus Garvey?
Same thing. Marcus Garvey was an idol for Roxbury Action Program.
Okay, so
Yes, there was
same-
the Garvey Youth Center. There was Garvey Day, Marcus Garvey Gardens.
Really?
Yeah, they used to have it. Oh, first it was on Juniper Street in that little park there. That was Garvey Day. That's where it started. Then it went over to the First Church.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that. So let's talk about Roxbury Day.
Okay. What would you like to talk about?
What's going to happen? What are we going to do?
Okay.
How is it going to start? What do what's going to happen? What are we doing?
Well, like
I know what I'm doing. Get into trouble.
Well, like I said, it's to show, not only to show, but to show something good about Roxbury, to celebrate Roxbury.
Yes.
It was founded in September of whatever year.
Yeah,
Don't know the
oh,
date. We only
I
know it's
forgot to.
September.
The 28th, I think it was 1960.
No,
No, 70
no.
something. I think it was.
1620 was Roxbury.
Oh,
Something
no,
like
I know
that.
about Roxbury.
Oh, that's
when
what
it
I
was
meant.
Founded.
So I was talking about the
Okay, I
founding
was
of
thinking
Roxbury.
about when Founders Day was started.
Oh, okay. Now that I really am not sure about. But it's also thinking about, even though it's in Highland Park, Roxbury really includes where Children's Hospital is, Beth Israel Hospital.
Yes.
Part of Jamaica Plain was Roxbury.
Yes,
But that's
it succeeded
that
from
changed.
Roxbury.
And then also over in the Fenway,
Yep.
part of the Fenway. So
Fenway.
that's all Roxbury. I mean, the powers that be have tried to shrink it down to 02119.
Nah, but we.
But that's not all there is to it. Yeah.
And it's very funny because I learned that in college. I never knew that in high school because they didn't teach you that. But when I was taking a history course at Springfield College called The People's History, they talked about Roxbury.
Yeah.
And they talked about Jamaica Plain being Roxbury. And I said, and parts of Dedham being Roxbury. Yeah, part of Dedham too. Was part
West Roxbury.
Yeah.
I mean.
And it was
you go.
like, really? I didn't learn this until I got to college, you know? So, yeah. So what do we,
Well, we plan to have, oh my goodness, that van that does the art,
Oh, Sparks for Art.
Sparks for Art, and then Spark the Artmobile. Sparks for Art is Hibernian.
Oh, you're right. Oh, shoot.
And then also the health van from Northeastern. We will have entertainment by, oh my goodness, Quintessence Edutainment.
Edutainment.
They'll be doing 2 sets. We have a rapper named Merce. We should have an excerpt of the beginning of Roxbury Strong.
Okay,
Should
right.
be there. As well as, I said, the quiz.
Yes.
We will have prizes. And the prizes I want to come from Roxbury vendors so that we, that gives them some play.
Play,
also.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're going to have the Roxbury quiz. We're going to do that?
Oh, yeah, the
We're
Roxbury
going to do
quiz,
that?
yeah.
Are we going to have like workshops and things like that?
There will be a workshop that Melissa's doing, and we also should have a writer's workshop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there will be authors there, but it's not really the book fair, but I still want to have a
Yes.
writer's workshop.
A writer's workshop. So you're going to actually have authors there. Mm-hmm. The authors, like you said, it's not going to be a book fair, but we're going to have authors there.
They'll be part of the vendors.
They'll be.
so,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right. All right. All right. And what is the timing of this great day?
That's 12 to 5.
Okay, 12 to 5. Good. And I'm very, I'm excited about this because I've been hanging around working with you guys for a long time. And
Yeah.
I missed it for a while, so I'm really glad.
Well, I
we're bringing it
retired,
back.
but then I came out of retirement. So this is my semi-retirement. So we just did Roxbury Day for the first time since, I think, 2013.
13. That's it. Yep, that is it. Well, I actually would like to hear more about,
About
Yes.
how people can get involved.
I would like to know how people can get involved with your program.
Well, I mean, they can either just use, I would say the Roxbury Action at Gmail. I mean, maybe in the subject line, you could just put, historical tours or back to life tours, and they could get a message to me if they're interested in being involved in that way. And they can always follow us on Instagram at Roxbury Action.
Oh, okay, great. And as for Children's Services of Roxbury, how do we get in touch with you? You specifically.
Oh, me specifically?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
Because you are the staff person who
Yes.
trains and, you know.
No, absolutely. And also, if there's any community resources,
Yes.
connect to, if there's something that you feel you could come and present to staff that could be a resource. If you have a program that could be out there, be useful to our families, there's opportunities to come and speak to our staff about the program that you're doing to get us involved. So dmarshall@csrox.org.
Okay. Just gave me a thought. Because you said something and it made me think of something.
Okay.
Great, great. How can we, I don't know, how can we move it forward? What can we tell people? I mean, how can we keep the fact that the 21st of September is going to be Roxbury Founders Day? How can we let folks know more except what we're saying? How do we tell them? I know you gave, you know, I know you gave the Instagram and the email and all of that, but if anybody wants to be a part of it?
Well, it's the same thing. The email, if you want to be a vendor, community agency, or an author, either one. It's still the same thing. RoxburyAction@gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
And we will get back to them with application and how they can go forward from that.
All right.
I mean, there's on Banner Online, there's ads about it, and then there'll be an ad in the paper. We'll have flyers out.
Okay.
Just doing the Instagram,
Oh, great.
email. What else?
What else can we do?
Text.
Hey, you know, trying to get all the information out of there. And what's the future of Roxbury Action Program?
Well, what we plan to do is to sell our last development of housing. It should remain Section 8, for low and moderate income people,
Okay.
but we will be selling. And then changing our focus, which won't be on housing anymore.
Right.
But it may be, we don't know yet, but it may be, because people are still grappling
With that.
Yeah, it may be a trust that then funds other agencies that do the kind of work that RAP was into.
Okay.
That's one thing. Another thing is to help people who are trying, especially first-time home buyers, who can get the help through the city, but sometimes you need just that little bit more.
Yes.
Like if we could give them $5,000 in addition to what help they get, then that's the advocacy. That advocacy. The other one is to help people learn how to, invest in their own community. So we would have workshops with that and how you can continue to keep the agencies going, and or also invest in them so that you get a return also. But so that similar to things like there used to be a survival fund years ago, in a lot of agencies. RAP had
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Northeastern Afro Institute
Yes,
had
we had
it.
it.
Urban League. A certain percentage of your check every payday went into the survival fund. And that survival fund was to keep the agency going, because we know how fickle the funding sources are.
Yes.
And that we should be funding our own selves anyway, as much as we can. So that's one way of doing it. Another way was, people mentioned what used to be the Black United Fund. And that was a way that you could, just the way the United Way,
Yes.
you can donate, you could donate to
to
that.
that.
And that would fund agencies in our community. So
Oh,
those are
see.
two of the three of the things that people are talking about doing with RAP.
Okay.
It's not, it's not
It's not
carved
set in stone yet.
But more than likely, it's going to be all three.
Now, with that fund, would they be, do you have to be a foundation, not foundation, do you have to be an organization that does, well, I won't say community work, because, you're in the community, so you're funding the community, but does it have to be an organization that happens to have a 501c3?
Well, that's not worked out yet, because it could be both. Some funding sources do that. They have a small part that's set aside for those agencies that don't have 501c3.
Okay.
And they're usually smaller grants.
Yes.
And then they also do those that have 501c3.
Okay.
So that's a possibility.
Oh, all right. All right.
Left out scholarships.
Oh, and it was on the tip of my tongue. Scholarships, please.
Yes, they want to do 4-year scholarships, and then do a few, and then try to get other athletes or whoever
to contribute.
To contribute so they can give out even more.
Very good, very good. I like that.
There is one that RAP has already, and that's the Patricia Reina.
That's right, the Patricia Reina scholarship.
Fund. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
But that doesn't do whole tuition. It will give you a certain amount of money. You do what you want, books or whatever.
Whatever, that's what I thought.
But it wouldn't pay the whole tuition.
And it's just a small thing, yeah. Yeah, because, what was it, what is it, the program that Dudley Square Main Street has, they do it in April. Patriots Day.
Oh, okay.
They have
the Brown
Scholarship, yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
Well, that's good when some families decide that they want to do, that's what they want to do with their money.
Yes.
It might be small, but sometimes that's what you need just to get you over the edge.
That's true. That's very true. I'm excited about Roxbury Day coming back, even though Marjorie says I don't sit still long enough. Yeah, no, I don't. Because I love working with Roxbury, with RAP. I do, and I like being there for Roxbury Day. I just run around and take pictures. When Marjorie thinks I'm supposed to be over there, I'm over there. But I'm glad it's coming back. I really am. I'm looking forward to any work. Are you going to be doing any workshops?
At Roxbury Day?
At Roxbury Day?
No.
You're not going to?
I mean, I can, but I hadn't planned to. No,
well,
I
now
know
that she brought it up.
Now you see?
Sorry about that.
No, but we can talk about if there's anything that would need to be, or be desired. But right now, I just had planned to have a table.
Just to have a table.
And to make sure I can give as much information to folks as possible.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad. I'm so that's what you, and I know you're going to be doing a workshop. We've already got that. What is your workshop going to entail?
Well, really, it is planned to be a roundtable discussion. And, I looked at some of your past shows. You've got some great guests I would be honored to have them at the roundtable. A roundtable discussion about how to bring a, this sort of multi-level tour to Roxbury, and like how to get, those other artists, what part can they play in being a part of a tour like this. So again, like I said, if someone's a fashion designer and maybe they don't have the time, but maybe there's an up-and-coming fashion designer that they know about or are working with, and how could we blend those pieces, like just getting those insights, and if someone's not able to be a part of the historical tours, maybe they can be a resource. So it's really just having that discussion and just keep talking about it. There's no urgency in having the tours come to Roxbury, but I think it's a great idea, and it's something to have a conversation about.
I think it's a great idea,
Yeah.
because it's from the artistic perspective, and we do have a lot of artists in our community, and if you go through places like Roxbury Open Studios, which we have every October, there are loads of artists that are within the community that I'm sure would be interested in being part of that roundtable discussion. If I don't know how often you go to the Roxbury Open Studios, but
I try to, tiptoe
Dibble
through
and
there. Yep,
Lord.
there's always something happening in the
I
community,
know,
just
all
like
over the
Roxbury Day,
place.
right? It's like, well, are you going to be there?
I agree.
It can be tough, but we hope everyone's going to be here on the 21st.
Oh yeah, I'm gathering my troops. Yeah, I have to gather the information. Yeah, I tell everybody. I've been telling everybody, September 21st, Roxbury Founders Day. We're doing some book fair. There's going to be some authors. Come on out and visit us. So yeah, I'm always spreading the word, one way or another. Like right now, we're doing that.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to add that also, the Dillaway Thomas House will be having tours all day. They don't set a schedule. I guess 2 or 3 show up, and they will be doing tours.
Oh, really?
And it looks very nice. I mean, the artifacts are somewhat different than what they had before.
Oh.
And it's very nice inside.
Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I guess I'll have to.
Yeah, because you go by there a lot, and the gate is locked. So this
Thank
day
you.
it'll be open, and people can go in and really take a tour.
Did they
And see what's been done.
have they put up a new sign that says Roxbury State Heritage Park anymore?
Well, let me see. I was by there this morning and I didn't see one, so.
I guess
no.
not. I guess not, because the last time I was down there, I didn't see. Matter of fact, I was by there today and I didn't see one. So I was just wondering if because I might have just missed it.
Yeah,
So I was wondering.
yeah. You get used to going by a place, you don't look all the time. But
Yeah.
I didn't see
Yeah, I'm hoping they're going to redo the sign. Be nice. Yes, they
I'm
do.
sure that's in the works, just don't know when
When?
it's going to be up there.
Yeah. So they're going to be doing tours that day. That's good. And see, that's part of the history too. As we're talking about culture and art and the artistic perspective, so that would be a great thing. I want to have some, I won't say last minute thoughts, but I want some last minute
Thoughts?
Yes, let's have some last minute thoughts. I'd like to, to give my audience a reprieve of what Roxbury Day is about, what Children's Services of Roxbury, and about the artistic perspective in historical tours. So let's do that. Let's start.
Lady.
Yep, we're going to start with Margie.
Oh, thank you.
We're going to recap.
Okay, so recap. September 21st, Roxbury Day. Roxbury Heritage State Park, which is also where the Dillaway Thomas House is, in Elliott Square. Starts at 12, ends at 5. There'll be vendors, authors, entertainment, health bands, art you can do yourself. Even
There
if
you
you're
go.
not an artist, don't
There
worry
you go.
about it. You can do it. And it'll be to the music, so that's an incentive.
Yeah, the
so-
music, yeah.
yeah. So come
Poetry.
out and see what's up. See what's in Roxbury. We want to showcase that.
There you go.
Okay, and so revived historical tours of Roxbury through the artist's perspective. Anyone who is interested in participating, whether they be an artist in whatever medium or creative performance, that is something that they should look to be a part of on Roxbury Day, the September 21st.
There you go. And a recap of what Children's Services of Roxbury is about and what part they're playing in Roxbury Day.
Okay, well, Children's Services of Roxbury, for anyone who's looking for some support and advocating for their child. The child has a mental health diagnosis and they have mass health and they're eligible. And so please look up childrenservicesofroxbury.org or you can email me at dmarshall@csrox.org and I can direct you where you need to go. But anyone who would need that support, please look us up. And at Roxbury Day, I will have a table for any more information and really detailed questions. I'll be able to answer them there.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure you can.
Because you mentioned Mass Health. What if a person is not on Mass Health? Can they get services from you?
Tufts, Mass Health, there's only certain insurances that cover it. So yeah, unfortunately, it's not for everyone, but definitely if you have Mass Health, because it all came out of that.
Oh,
It's
it
an
did.
extension of Mass
Okay.
Health and things like that in order to cover, and everything is free. Once you have Mass Health, all the services are free.
So what if you don't have any of those and you're seeking those services? How do you get the services?
You hit the
from-
lottery? No, I'm playing. You have to come out your pocket. I don't know what to tell you. But it's not that we don't turn people away.
You don't turn people
Yeah, you don't turn people
There
away
you
that
go.
way.
That's what I
But
wanna
if
hear.
insurance can't cover, then what we would try to do is direct you to, as you said, what are those resources that are out there? I mean, if you need food, there's ABCD,
Right.
APAC. You can go and call the Project Bread. I mean,
Right.
there are things like that we can connect you to if you need those particular resources.
But other types of resources, other types of services, like you have the in-home
Yeah, you wouldn't be able
therapy
to
and
do
those,
that.
You would not be able to.
Not without Mass Health, no.
Without
without
okay.
that coverage.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Again, we'll try to connect you to other things and maybe resources, but yeah, you wouldn't be eligible for our service.
Are you connected to any of the community health centers within the Roxbury area?
Anywhere where there's clinical services, I'm sure we work with them. We work with Dimmick, we work with Whittier, we work with, because here's the thing, we service the families in the community. So it's where does the community go? You know what I mean? If you need health advocacy, I've been with families at Whittier Street. I've been at different places, so.
Okay.
And in other words, part of the village, right? You can't do it by yourself. So
That's
we're always
right.
looking at community partnerships. I mean, we have something coming up, Peace on the Pier. We're going to be honoring from within and those community partnerships.
Okay.
But we're going to continue to do that.
I want to thank DuBois Marshall, Melissa Mills, Marjorie Hicks for being on Artists of Color today. Again, September 21st at the Dillaway Thomas House, Roxbury Founders Day. Come out and join us. It's going to be a great afternoon. There's going to be lots to do, and there's going to be lots of information. So come and join us. Thank you. I'm Elaine Hall-Corbin, your host, and thank you for being with us this afternoon. Have a great day.